Powered by Riverside FM.
Kevin O'Connell has recently had an interview, and he was really talking up JJ McCarthy. And it was actually, for me, it was kind of refreshing that he did so. There's always been kind of an excuse to put JJ McCarthy on the back shelf. If you think about last year when Sam Darnold came in, JJ McCarthy was drafted. I think there were purposeful things done, not to be underhanded or to disparage JJ McCarthy at all, but I think they wanted Sam Darnold to know that he was the guy, and they weren't going to let the media get too hyped up on the JJ McCarthy train. Everybody was excited that we drafted our future franchise quarterback at the 10th spot, the highest drafted quarterback in Minnesota Vikings history. So you probably can understand that there was a lot of excitement around JJ McCarthy. So there was a way that the Minnesota Vikings and KOC really wanted to handle that. So they put JJ in front of the camera. He had his designated times where, you know, he was able to make statements to the media, but they didn't give him a whole lot of time. Like, they wanted to let things be known that it was Sam Darnold's team, and that's the way they constructed that. Even when JJ McCarthy was hurt, I know there was an amount of time that he was, you know, not able to be on the sidelines because he wasn't cleared, but you just didn't see a whole lot of JJ McCarthy this year. It was almost like he wasn't even a part of the team when you watch the broadcast or anything. You didn't see shots of him up in the suite. You really didn't see a whole lot of shots of him on the sidelines. This was orchestrated in a way where they just wanted to make Sam Darnold know, hey, you are our guy for this year. So you really didn't hear a whole lot of talk about JJ McCarthy. The only time KOC really came out and said something that was really definitive about JJ McCarthy is when JJ McCarthy got injured and he tore his meniscus. And the next day, I can't remember if it was the next couple of days, but KOC came out and basically said, you know, the one thing that we know for sure, you know, this is a very unfortunate injury, but the one thing that we know for sure is that we found our franchise quarterback. And that was really the only time where they really shouted it from the rooftops, you know, about JJ McCarthy and what his role was going to be. I know there's a lot of people out there that say, well, he shouldn't have to do that, but I think you should, especially when you're dealing with the young mind. I coach, albeit a different sport, and developing young minds are crucial. You having confidence in them is crucial, and you saying that publicly is crucial to the development of that athlete. And so even during the whole Aaron Rodgers thing, there was nothing really definitive about JJ McCarthy that was ever said publicly. They just kind of let it play out. And this was the first time listening to the KOC interview. For those that have not heard the interview, you can find it on ESPN2's podcast. They will be having that archived, but it was a great interview because it let you in the mind of how KOC really feels about JJ McCarthy. And during that interview, he talked about a couple things. Number one, he talked about what an advantage it's going to be to have JJ McCarthy and what type of system he came up in under Jim Harbaugh at Michigan. I know a lot of people have made a lot of disparaging remarks about JJ McCarthy because he doesn't have this body of work in terms of throwing the ball a lot at Michigan. Their offense just wasn't designed that way. It was a pro offense. And so I think a lot of people think that is going to be detrimental to JJ McCarthy because he didn't come from a pass-heavy offense. KOC looked at it from another route. JJ McCarthy has spent time underneath center. Nowadays, you have all of these college teams that have these spread offenses and things like that where they never get a chance to really be up under center. So now when they make that transition into the pros, it's kind of an adjustment. They have to be acclimated now to be up under center depending on what system they're in the NFL. And the majority of the systems, you have to be under center. Sometimes you can manufacture throws with bubble screens and read options and stuff like that. JJ McCarthy ran a pro system. So there was not a lot of hyped up manufactured plays. They relied heavily on the run. They relied heavily on staying on schedule. And the thing that KOC mentioned that was an advantage for JJ McCarthy is that he was really excellent on what he called weighty downs. So downs that are third and long, probably longer than 3rd and 7, where JJ McCarthy had to read the defense and make throws. And I think what really helped JJ McCarthy be efficient in those areas is because if you went back and you watch a lot of the Michigan games, they were always on schedule offensively. They had a stout running game, and they had a really good offensive line. So rarely ever did they put themselves in a position where they were 3rd and 14, 3rd and 13. They had manageable downs, and what KOC calls weighty downs. So JJ McCarthy on those downs were pretty efficient. KOC said he was good in those weighty downs, and is basically another way of saying that JJ McCarthy is just clutch. No matter what the yardage is, whether it's 3rd and 5 or 3rd and 10, to be able to make some of those throws under pressure is really, really telling about the makeup of JJ McCarthy. Then you also have his ability to throw accurately with a lot of mesh routes. Basically, what I mean by that is just crossing patterns across the middle. JJ McCarthy really, really excelled at that. It's one thing to be able to throw bubble screens and throw lobs down the field, but you got to be able to have that intermediate game in terms of those crossing routes. It's pretty difficult. Sam Darnold had a lot of issues with that with the Minnesota Vikings. Those intermediate routes, the crossing routes, the drag routes, the hooks was not Sam Darnold's specialty. You could see at times that he would struggle with that. KOC during the interview basically came out and said that this is an area where JJ McCarthy can and will succeed. He has the aptitude to be able to be really good there. Another telling sign that KOC made a really, really, really public in this interview is that how well JJ McCarthy is liked by his teammates. He's enthusiastic in the locker room. This was something that he came out and said, and how he galvanizes players. He brings a lot of young energy into that locker room, and a lot of his teammates really like him. I think that's really important. Like when that adversity hits and you have a leader like that, where he brings that youthful energy every day, it's a little bit different than the energy that maybe some other quarterbacks would bring, like a Sam Darnold, Nick Mullins, or even an Aaron Rodgers. He brings that youthfulness. He brings that confidence. Again, Cam Bynum called him a maniac. This is a kid that really understands how to win. It was just really good to see KOC come out and speak about this kid. You could see the glimmer in his eyes when he talks about JJ McCarthy. This is a kid that he's really, really happy with. And I'm not surprised that he's not going to entertain, in my opinion. I don't think he's going to entertain anybody that's going to come in and threaten JJ McCarthy. I think at least for this year, he is going to want to work with this kid. He said that he's going to be a big part of his development. Like everything that came out of that interview really, really sounded good. And so, again, if you haven't seen the interview with KOC, I know you can find it on YouTube. You can Google it. It was at the owners' meetings down in Florida where everybody is right now. So I'm sure you can find that somewhere. It's a very insightful interview. I was glad I had an opportunity to watch it because it just gave me an insight on where he is with JJ McCarthy. And it just feels good to have a franchise, youthful quarterback. I think KOC is all in with him. I know UP Nation is all in with him. Skull Nation is all in with him. So we just can't wait to see JJ McCarthy hit the field. This has been Unconventional Playbook. Please hit that like and subscribe button. I would really, really appreciate it. Please consider becoming a member. Those that become a member of UP Nation will be entered into a drawing to have an opportunity to win a Minnesota Vikings Winter Warrior jersey. And as always, UP Nation, we will see ya when we see ya.